A city sinking for 100 years, and 50,000 people still choose to live there. A government so desperate it pays strangers $30,000 just to move into its villages. Construction workers digging a subway line accidentally break into a Roman villa, untouched for 2,000 years. Italy is the most visited country in Europe, and most people who go there have absolutely no idea what they're actually looking at. Number 15. The country paying you to move in. Hundreds of Italian villages are offering cash grants of up to $30,000 to anyone willing to move in and stay for 5 years. Not cheap houses, not tax breaks. Cash. Towns like Borgo Misaval, Presice, and Tiora are so empty they are desperate. Italy has lost over 2 million rural residents in a single decade. 5,500 villages face complete disappearance by 2050. Who is answering the call? Young women from America, Canada, and Australia. Many of Italian descent, many who have never lived in Italy, packing their lives and moving into houses their great-grandparents might have recognized. One American's video documenting her move to a Sicilian village hit millions of views within weeks. Italy is not just offering houses. It is offering something the modern world stopped selling a long time ago. A place that still remembers what it means to belong somewhere. Number 14. The women running Italy's underground economy. Italy has a shadow economy worth over $200 billion a year. And a significant part of it is run by women, not the mafia. The economia sommersa, seamstresses, home cooks, artisan farmers, and craftswomen working completely outside the official books. In Naples and Sicily, entire families have survived this way for generations, grandmother to mother to daughter, in an unbroken chain the government has never fully mapped. EU data places Italy's grey economy at 12.6% of GDP. Over 3 million people operate inside it daily. This is not a failure of the Italian system. For the women running it, this economy is the system. It always has been. And it has outlasted every government that ever tried to eliminate it. Number 13. When tourists became the enemy. Italy receives 60 million international visitors a year. To many locals living inside it, that number no longer feels like success. Florence installed loudspeakers in residential streets emitting deliberately unpleasant noise to stop tourists from entering neighborhoods where real families live. Venice charged an entry fee for the first time in 1,200 years of history. Rome fines visitors up to $450 for sitting on the Spanish Steps. Venice gets 30 million tourists annually. It has 50,000 permanent residents. That is 600 visitors for every single local. The word appearing in Italian newspapers and city council debates is tourismofobia, the exhaustion of living inside your own home, while millions of strangers treat it as a theme park. The country the world most wants to visit is slowly becoming a place its own people can no longer afford to stay in. Number 12. The secret cities beneath the streets. Beneath Naples runs 80 kilometers of tunnels carved into volcanic rock. Ancient Greek cisterns, Roman aqueducts, World War II bomb shelters where entire families lived for months listening to the city burn above them, catacombs holding 40,000 human remains. A complete second city underground that most tourists never see. In 2023, Rome metro workers broke through a wall and found a Roman villa, frescoes still vivid on the walls. Artifacts resting exactly where someone left them 2,000 years ago. Construction stopped immediately. It always does. Archaeologists estimate Rome contains over 1 million unexcavated sites. Every major building project in the city gets delayed 2 to 3 years on average, not by politics or budget, because the ground keeps refusing to let the past stay buried. Number 11. The women Italy tried to forget. Walk through any major Italian museum, and centuries of history are told almost entirely through men. But behind that official record lives a completely different story. Artemisia Gentileschi was one of the greatest Baroque painters who ever lived. She was also an assault survivor, put on trial at 17 and tortured as a lie detector test. She painted anyway. Her work now sells for tens of millions at auction. Caterina Sforza ruled her own territories in the 1400s and refused to surrender when Cesare Borgia threatened everything she had built. Anita Garibaldi fought in the battles that created modern Italy, on horseback. While pregnant, she died at 30, still in the middle of the campaign. These women did not exist on the sidelines of Italian history. They were Italian history. Most tourists leave without ever hearing their names. Number 10. Where the dead still rule the living. Italy's inheritance law is unlike anything in the modern Western world. Children cannot be fully disinherited, legally, no matter what the parents want. And the consequences reach every corner of the country. Thousands of historic properties sit frozen in legal disputes stretching across decades. Families that have not spoken in 30 years co-own crumbling Renaissance buildings that nobody can sell, renovate, or demolish. In Palermo alone, over 200 historic structures are visibly collapsing, not because nobody cares, but because nobody is legally able to act. The Italian Ministry of Culture estimates over 20,000 historic properties are currently trapped in active inheritance disputes nationwide. In Italy, you do not simply inherit a building. You inherit every argument, every unpaid debt, and every ghost that came with it. Number 9. The invisible rules that run Italian life. Every country has unwritten social rules. Italy has turned them into serious cultural infrastructure. The concept is bella figura, the obligation to present yourself, your family, and your behavior with dignity and grace at all times. No swimsuit in a restaurant, even if the beach is 30 feet away. No cappuccino after 11 in the morning. No noise in residential streets between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. That is the riposo, and disturbing it is genuinely disrespectful. Never ask for the check before the waiter offers it. Asking signals you want to leave, which signals the experience was not worth staying for. No Italian will ever explain these rules to you directly. You are simply expected to know. Italy is one of the most welcoming cultures on earth. As long as you follow rules nobody told you existed. Number 8. Why Italian mothers are the most powerful people in the country? 67% of Italian men aged 18 to 34 still live at home with their parents. According to Italy's own National Statistics Institute, in 2024, the word for this is mamismo. And it exists not because Italian men are weak, but because Italian mothers have created something genuinely difficult to replicate anywhere else. A level of care, belonging, and comfort that most apartments and most relationships simply cannot compete with. Sunday lunch in Italy is not a meal. It is a declaration of family identity that has survived wars, economic collapses, and 2,000 years of continuous history. At the center of it is always a woman who has been cooking since early morning and will not sit down until everyone else has eaten twice. People ask who really runs Italy. The answer has never been complicated. Number 7. The food wars that never end. Italy has actual food police, government investigators, the Nucleo Antifrodi, whose entire job is hunting down counterfeit Italian food. Because Italian food fraud is a $4.3 billion global criminal industry. Fake Parmesan, counterfeit olive oil, prosciutto that has never been within 500 miles of Parma. Domestically, the battles are equally intense. A Bologna restaurant was nationally boycotted in 2023 for using spaghetti instead of tagliatelle and traditional ragu. Carbonara without cream in Rome is not a preference. It is a moral position. Italy has registered over 800 protected food designations with the European Union, more than any other country on Earth. Breaking pasta before cooking it is not just wrong in Italy. In some households, it is considered a legitimate reason to ask someone to leave. Number 6. The island that smells like hell and looks like heaven. Volcano is a small island off Sicily, where the ground is warm under your feet, sulfur mud bubbles at the shoreline, and the air smells like something deep underground is trying to get out. 700 people live there year-round. In 2021, the island nearly evacuated entirely when underground thermal activity spiked to dangerous levels. Tourists still come specifically to sit in the volcanic mud pool steaming beside an active crater. The waiting list to visit is months long. This is not unusual for Italy. 3 active volcanoes, millions of people living within range of Vesuvius, the same mountain that buried an entire Roman city without warning. Italy does not build away from danger. It builds right beside it, opens a restaurant with a view, and calls it home. Number 5. The earthquake country that always rebuilds in the same place. Italy is one of the most seismically active countries in Europe. The Apennine Mountains running down the spine of the peninsula, some of the most visually dramatic landscape in the Western world, are also its most geologically unstable. Amatrice, 2016. The earthquake killed 299 people and destroyed a medieval town in seconds. Survivors rebuilt on the same ground. They always do. L'Aquila, 2009. 309 people died. The scientists were later prosecuted for failing to adequately warn the public. Italy records over 700 earthquakes per year. 5.6 million people live in the highest risk zones. Italy knows the ground beneath its most beautiful landscapes can open without warning. It builds there anyway. Because after 1,000 years, this is still home, and no earthquake has ever changed that. Number 4. The lake hiding an entire drowned village. In northern Italy, a single church tower rises above the surface of Lake Regia. Nothing else is visible above the water. But beneath the surface sits an entire village, houses, streets, a cemetery, flooded in 1950 when the government built a dam and gave residents almost no time to leave. In winter, when the lake freezes solid, people walk across the ice to stand beside that tower. The village's last surviving original resident died in 2019. Her final wish was to have her ashes scattered above the water where her home used to stand. Italy holds ancient cities underground and drowned towns beneath its lakes. This country does not let go of what it has lost. It keeps the past visible, just beneath the surface, always within reach. Number 3. The generation that can no longer afford to be Italian. Average monthly salary for an Italian under 35, 1,200 euros. Average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in Florence, Rome, or Milan, 1,400 euros minimum. The math does not work. It has not worked for a long time. 300,000 young Italians leave the country every year. They call themselves cervelli in fuga, the fleeing brains. Educated by Italian schools, shaped entirely by Italian culture, then quietly pushed out by Italian economics. A 28-year-old from Florence said it simply, "My country is a museum, and museums do not pay rent." That sentence spread across Italian social media within hours. Because she was not being dramatic, she was being precise. Italy preserved its past more carefully than almost any civilization in history. The tragedy unfolding right now is that it may have forgotten to build a future its own children can actually afford to live inside. Number 2. The secret languages Italy never talks about. When Italy unified in 1861, only 2.5% of the population actually spoke Italian. Everyone else spoke something completely different: Venetian, Neapolitan, Sicilian, Sardinian, not dialects. Separate languages with their own grammar, their own literature, and their own identity. Today, 34 regional languages are still officially recognized inside Italy. Neapolitan has 5.7 million speakers. Some villages in the Alps still speak Aquitian, the language of medieval troubadours, completely unchanged for 700 years. Sardinian is linguistically closer to classical Latin than modern Italian is. Italy is not one country speaking one language. It is 20 cultures and 20 histories held together by a shared flag and a centuries-long disagreement about how pasta should be made. Number 1. Why Italy is the most human country on Earth. No country on Earth contains more contradiction inside a single border. Some of Europe's wealthiest regions and some of its most persistently poor inside the same country, sometimes the same city. The civilization that created modern law, architecture, and philosophy. The government that still struggles to make its trains run on time. Women who helped build this country from the foundation are still, in 2026, fighting to be seen inside it. Villages emptying while famous cities overflow with strangers. Young people leaving while the elderly refuse to go. Ancient history breaking through the ground every time someone tries to build something new. And yet no one who has ever spent real time in Italy, not tourist time, real time, comes home unchanged. Not because of the art, though the art is genuinely incomparable. Not even because of the food, though the food will quietly ruin everything else you eat for the rest of your life. But because Italy, chaotic, contradictory, exhausting, magnificent Italy, insists on being completely and unapologetically human in a world that keeps asking everyone to be faster, smoother, and easier to manage. Italy does not make sense. It was never supposed to. And that is exactly why the entire world cannot stop thinking about it. Italy is not a destination. It is a feeling that stays long after you leave, or long after you wish you could go. If this changed how you see this country, share it with someone who thinks they already know Italy. They don't. Drop in the comments which fact shocked you the most.